Russia's show of force will touch the scariest aspect. Yes, with nuclear power. The massive buildup of Russian missile and warship troops around Ukraine is called the worst security as President Vladimir Putin will directly oversee military exercises involving strategic forces on Saturday, February 21, 2022. Drills held at a time of heightened tensions on the country's border with Ukraine. The Russian Ministry of Defense said the exercise would include several launches of intercontinental ballistic missiles and cruise missiles of the Air Force's mythical Southern District units, as well as the Northern and Black Sea naval fleets that would engage in large-scale nuclear radar. Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko, during talks with Putin on Friday in Moscow, said he would also take part in overseeing Saturday's drills. The war games follow U.S. President Joe Biden's warnings and that Russia could invade Ukraine in the next few days. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said Russia was being transparent about Saturday's drills. They had given notification to the right parties and they would not worry anyone. He said Putin's role was very important, and the president is likely to take part in the command center. Russia holds its massive strategic Lukro drills every year, but the planned maneuvers on Saturday involve the Black Navy. The fleet is based on the Crimean Peninsula, which is also at the center of the conflict with Ukraine. According to Russia, this is not an escalation. This is something the country does every year. Usually this exercise is done in October, but at times the schedule could change to while the gunfights in eastern Ukraine have reignited. Fears of further excretion of Ukrainian government forces and separatists in the east of the country have accused each other of shootings and violations of the ceasefire. Developments related to the Ukraine crisis have not yet shown the following signs of decline. A number of recent developments, which we will briefly present from Washington, are reported to have revised the projections of Russian troops. Washington's ambassador to the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe said Russia may have 160 to 190 troops stationed on and around Ukraine's borders. This number has increased from around 100,000 in the past 3 weeks. While from Donetsk, Ukraine, it was reported that the leaders of the hundreds of thousands of moving spas in Donetsk or the parliament of eastern Ukraine said they would start evacuating civilians to Russia. Due to concerns about confessing if a large number of women appear, children and parents will be evacuated first. Ukrainian TV reports recorded 60 ceasefire violations over the past 24 hours in a military report. Ukraine says the separatists shelled more than 10 settlements using heavy mortars and tanks. While from Amsterdam it was reported that the Netherlands would send military equipment. Ukraine and the West deny Russia has made major cuts in troop withdrawals on the ground. The massive buildup of Russian missile and warship troops around Ukraine is called the worst security risk. The situation in the contact lines of the Ukrainian Don base flared up one morning, February 19, after reports emerged from the Greater Republic of Donetsk and Luhansk about active shooting by the Ukrainian military, the latest of which a loud explosion was heard in Luhansk Donbase on Saturday, February 19. Tension immediately began in the area. A huge explosion hit Luhansk, said a Sputnik correspondent on Saturday, February 19. The explosion was followed by a second explosion in just half an hour. Then the first lay was said to have occurred in the drugs gas pipeline Infrastructure manager Luhanska said in a statement that emergency crew, firefighters and police were immediately on the scene at 10 o'clock on February 19. Telephone calls started itching about a large fire in gas pipeline near Malaya Virgo. An emergency team from state unit company Luhansk Gas went to the scene. Luhansk's statement told reporters said to have been extinguished, and so far there have been no reports of casualties or injuries, according to the head of Luhansk Diana. Both explosions were acts of sabotage, with a second explosion reportedly hitting a petrol station. The authorities of the Donetsk People's Republic, or DPR, and the Luhansk People's Republic, or the self-proclaimed LPR, from Ukraine starting the evacuation of their civilians to Russia. For fear of military aggression by the Ukrainian government, DPR leader Denis Uzalin suspects that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky ordered an attack on these two breakaway republics in the near future. Only preliminary information from the two explosions that occurred in Luhansk Donbase, as it looks like the situation in eastern Ukraine is starting to become unstable.